Alright, so in this first section, I just wanted to put together a little presentation to better explain what I mean when I use the phrase escaping the cage, and also just kind of convey what it is we're actually doing on this website. So I'll begin this presentation by posing the question, what is escaping the cage? Well, put simply, it means achieving total freedom from unwanted restrictive forces in your life. And this may seem like basic information, but I'll put out a reminder that this is phase 1, and the more useful information of this phase will be presented in the subsequent sections underneath this one. And also, this website course is designed to be accessible to anyone regardless of their age or experience level. So with that being said, what kind of restrictive forces do people frequently face? Well, here's some common restrictive forces, or cages as I call them, that we might see throughout our lives. The first one, which a lot of us see, is debt. This is a legal obligation to pay money to a third party by a specific date. Another restrictive force we might see are working obligations, and these are life factors requiring you to work maximum or long weekly hours. And some examples of this might be needing to take care of your children, monthly bills, which are monthly requests for money that you legally must pay, which can include a mortgage or rent payment, a car payment, or insurance. And another example of a working obligation might be minimum hour job requirements. Another cage that we'll frequently see is another person's unwanted presence. And this is a life factor requiring you to be in the presence of a person or force that you dislike. And some examples of this might be being a legal child in custody of a parent or guardian you don't like, being a student in class with a teacher you don't like, or having to follow a law or court order that you don't want to follow. So how or what can we do to escape from these restrictive forces? The most important thing we can do is achieve financial freedom. And this is freedom from all money-related restrictive forces, i.e. debt, bills, working requirements, basically any problem that can be caused by not having enough money. And this is achievable by having an infinite source of money, which may at its face value seem impossible, but as you'll see on a later slide, it is simply a series of steps. And in my opinion, this is the most important type of freedom. And again, you'll see why on the next slide. So the next type of freedom we can achieve is interpersonal freedom to break out of these restrictive forces. And this is freedom from people that you don't want to be in the company of. And hand in hand with interpersonal freedom is intrapersonal freedom, which is freedom from negative thoughts about yourself. These thoughts, I've often noticed, are imposed on us by other people, where interpersonal and intrapersonal freedom go hand in hand, where basically a lot of times the negative thoughts that we have about ourselves come about as a result of the behavior of other people, and a lot of times those other people are intentionally trying to make us see our own selves in a worse light than we actually should be seen in. And the strategy with that is basically to always second guess efforts to make you second guess yourself, and you'll be fine. That's what I'm trying to hammer home with that. And the last type of freedom that I discussed is achieving personal governmental freedom. And this is freedom from oppressive laws or rules that you have to follow from being a member of a larger social group or country. And some examples of this might be having to pay a tax bill every year, having to live or be in a country or place where your personal qualities, i.e. your race, behavior patterns, or religion are disliked by the general public or the people around you, and being the target of wage garnishment, which is a court order requiring you to pay money to another person because they sued you. So here's why financial freedom is the most important kind. Knowledge and services can be outsourced. You can pay experts to solve your other freedom problems while you relax. For example, you can pay a lawyer to stop a court action you don't like. You can pay some kid $25 to mow your lawn instead of mowing it yourself. And assuming that you have a stable source of passive income, you can quit your job, let your passive income pay your bills, and just play League of Legends on your computer all day or do whatever you want without having to work ever. And also, financial freedom allows for focus on your other freedoms, or does it? Financial problems and working hours occupy a lot of most people's time. So in theory, you could spend more time doing what you want to if you had financial freedom, until you start thinking about what you would have to do in order to obtain it. So right now I just want to introduce my idea of the choose two of the three rule, which is a complication in achieving financial freedom. So I like to say that there are three essential elements or pillars defining what success is. And those pillars are having lots of time, basically having time to do whatever you want, having lots of money, which is money to spend on whatever you need it on, and also having lots of freedom, specifically the types of freedom that I defined a little bit earlier, like financial freedom, interpersonal freedom, intrapersonal freedom, and personal governmental freedom. So let's look at what lifestyle tracks people will often take to get to this point. So here's some common paths which people will take to achieve success. The first one is the classic going to college after high school and building a career, i.e. becoming a learned professional like a doctor, lawyer, teacher, or engineer. Another track is going to technical school after high high school and becoming a skilled professional, i.e. becoming a chef, hairstylist, or web developer. Another track is staying in your parents' house forever while receiving food, shelter, and money from them and paying or playing computer video games all day in their basement. And I know this probably doesn't sound like a life track to success, but it is one which a lot of people end up taking, even if they don't actually realize that this is a life track and they're actually taking it. But another path which people take is getting a job at Chick-fil-A or some other store when you turn 16 and working there until you get a promotion to being a manager. And the last track which I see is owning your own business. So I want now to pose a challenge. Which of these paths, according to our time, money, and freedom definition, have achieved the greatest level of success? What I want you to do now is actually pause this video, answer the question, and then unpause it. Okay, did you do it? Okay, so before we get into the right answer, I just want to first look at a little bit of the wrong answers according to our time, money, and freedom model. First wrong answer, and I know I'm going to get a lot of controversy for this, going to college after high school and building a career, i.e. becoming a learned professional like a doctor, lawyer, teacher, or engineer. And here's why. Even if you become a lawyer, engineer, or teacher, you will be required to work long hours, either from a fixed schedule, i.e. if you're a teacher, you have to go to work every day of your school year, or from minimum hour job requirements. Think big law lawyers. And it's debatable that doctors and engineers are successful because they have flexible hour requirements and can work at many job locations, but the level of schooling required for these careers, which is 8 or more years for doctors and 4 or more years for engineers, makes them difficult for most people to immediately access. Also, student debt. Just to kind of give you an idea of how severe of a phenomena this is, my dad is actually still paying off his student debt from 10 years ago. So if there's anything you can do in your life to avoid student debt, avoid it. It is death. So another wrong answer which I see is going to technical school after high school and becoming a skilled professional, i.e. becoming a chef, hairstylist, or web developer. And the reason for this is low hourly pay. If you want money from doing these things, you'll have to work more hours to get it. Also, geographic restriction. With these jobs, unless you're a web developer in which you can work online, you have to live close to where you work or you have no job. And also, the next wrong answer, obviously, is staying in your parents' house forever while receiving food, shelter, and money from them, and playing computer and video games all day in their basement. And the reason for this is no freedom. You live at your parents' discretion, and also this should be self-explanatory. It's an unfortunate fact that most people who actually live like this don't even understand that what they're doing is an actual lifestyle. They have usually no capacity to understand what a lifestyle actually is, which again is sad, but it happens. And another wrong answer I see is getting a job at Chick-fil-A or some other store when you turn 16 and working there until you get a promotion to being a manager. And the reason for this is similar to the reason that technical school was the wrong answer, only much worse. You'll basically be performing exhausting labor every single day for upwards of 6 hours at a time. So now we've seen all the wrong answers, and if you couldn't tell already from process of elimination, the right answer, if you want to actually build a life that has all 3 elements of success, is owning your own business. And here's why. In all other scenarios, whenever you want money, whether you're a doctor, hairstylist, or a plumber, you can only get it by working for it. But when you own your own business, it earns you money regardless of whether or not you're actively working in it. For example, let's say that you own your own drive-thru, and let's say that you decide to stay at home one day while your business has an open sign on its door, and let's say that while this sign is on your door, your employees are working inside the restaurant, like taking customer orders and working the drive-thru, and they're being supervised by your hired manager. As long as your employees are doing their job, and you pay your store manager to make sure of this, people driving by and coming into your restaurant will naturally give you money, which is yours to keep in exchange for food, and after your employees take wage payment from what customers or people driving by a restaurant and coming into your restaurant paid, you can spend the rest of it on whatever you want. Money is just made for you by your business when you do this without you having to do any work. If you think about it, a business is a legal automatic cash printing machine. So why isn't everybody doing this? Well, the first reason, they don't know that they can. When you say, I want to start a business, most people will probably say, great, and then have no idea what you actually mean. For example, if you wanted to purchase your local H&R Block, what you could do is meet with that store owner, slap $30,000 on their desk, sign a transfer of ownership form, and by next Friday, after your employees' wages have been paid, money that the customers pay the store for tax services will be deposited into your bank account. And that's it. You're earning automatic income as long as the store exists and you own it. And another reason is the startup cost is usually inaccessibly high. Between the price of buildings, employee wages, business insurance, and ongoing costs, the cost of running a business can range from the 10,000s to the millions of dollars. Like, if you wanted to open your own Walmart, that would cost you about $3 million to set up. And if you wanted to open your own, like, mom and pop barbecue shop, that would probably like cost you in the tens of thousands of dollars. And another reason is owning a business might just seem hard, intimidating, or complicated, or a job that only a grown-up could do. Any task in the world, whether it be running $1 million business or loading your dishwasher, is simply a series of steps. And if you know each of those steps, whether you're 16 years old or 60 years old, what's stopping you from doing the task? And is that force which stops you a kind of force that you actually want to exist in your life? And this harkens to algorithmic thinking, which I'll be making a YouTube video on my channel, DavidWarthDotNet, pretty soon, which I highly recommend that you check out. But basically the idea behind algorithmic thinking is that any process, whether it's a massive task like starting a multi-million-dollar business or a little one like learning a math concept, is basically just a series of steps, and it kind of just goes to like seeing the world in terms of algorithms. But another reason why everybody isn't actually doing this is owning a business is a risk. It's no secret that the only kind of business which actually generates money for its owner is the business which customers actually buy things from. If you don't have customers and don't actually sell things, you don't have a business. It's just that simple. So running a business is hard work, is another reason that people don't typically run their own businesses. And the reason for this is if you ask anyone who owns their own restaurant how much work they have to do at their own store, they will probably tell you a lot. And you can walk into any restaurant, and if you look around carefully, you'll typically see the owner of that restaurant, literally the owner of that building, working alongside their employees, making food or ringing up customers. And obviously, if you own a brick and mortar business, you're going to have to work. So right now you might be thinking, this just doesn't seem like something I can do. And I wrote that here. I know what you're thinking. David, this looks nigh on impossible to set up. And that's understandable. Between the startup costs, the risk, the work involved, and the complexity, this probably seems inaccessible to the everyday person, especially if they don't have money to begin the operation. It just doesn't seem doable. Or does it? What if I told you that there's a way to set up your own truly automatic business with no employees, no laborious work, a simple design, extremely low startup costs, and I told you you could get this up and running for less than $500 and have it make you upwards of millions of dollars a year? Would you believe me? Well, the alternative solution to a brick and mortar business, making money online. And here's why an internet business is the single best source of passive income. First reason is location freedom. If you work any sort of job, even if you own your own business, the supposed golden secret of passive income, you must live near where you work or you have no job. Alternatively, you can work on an online business from anywhere with a Wi-Fi connection. Another reason is time freedom. If you work for an hourly wage, most of your time is spent by working, leaving you less time for leisure. But an internet business, once set up, virtually runs itself. And from my experience, most of the work you actually do is literally monitoring your income sources from your mobile phone and counting how much money you've made each day. Another reason is low startup costs. If rather than hiring a team of web developers to build your business for you, you instead follow the step-by-step tutorials and presentations I've made for you here in Escape the Cage, your startup costs, i.e. web hosting, plugins, and email list software, etc., for setting all of this up will be just under $500. And here in Escape the Cage, Phase 1 is all about generating the funding you'll need for these startup costs very quickly. So another reason is that an internet business is virtually automatic. An online business, by definition, runs itself. You'll literally be monetizing the process of people getting on their computer or mobile device and traveling through the internet. Them doing this earns you money, and you'll see how a little later in this phase. But another reason is passive income. In the end, an internet business is passive income, but unlike other sources of passive income or life success, you can have all three pillars and don't have to choose from between them which ones you want to have. So by this point, you hopefully are thinking, let's do this. Where do we go from here? And here's what I want you to do. I want you to explore the zero investment cash generators that I've listed on here and actually try some of them. They're here to help you generate startup funds for this project. And once you have established a stable source of cash from doing these and possess about $500 you're willing to invest into this project, and don't worry, you won't be paying me this cash, you just need it for the software we'll need for our startup expenses, click this Take Me to Phase 2 button on the home page of Phase 1. And one final word about the zero investment cash generators. They will work. They will work well. You will make lots of money from doing them, and you may find yourself starting to feel comfortable using them and nothing else in this product. Please remember that they are a means to an end, but not an end in and of themselves. As well as they work in making you fast money, the methods in my later phases work almost 10 to 100 times better. So if you like what you see in Phase 1, just you wait. The later phases will blow you away. So here's one last thing. I am thoroughly invested in you actually succeeding, and here's why. There are a lot of trash make money online products on the internet, and I actually see this as a great opportunity. If I create one one that a lot of people have success with. A lot of people will kind of talk about it, and obviously I'll get more business as a result of creating a quality product. And another reason is with the methods that I use to monetize my own business, I actually receive downline commissions for every person who I get to succeed through Escape the Cage. And don't worry, this doesn't mean that you pay a higher price for anything in any way. I'm basically paid to give you the tools and then show you how to use them. So another thing, I've been through it, all right? I've been through horrible things in my life, including behavior discrimination, being kicked out of my house with nowhere to go, living with a poor, lower class family, and I will say that like money can solve quite a lot more problems than just debt or just bills. So with that being said, what I want you to do now is go explore phase 1, and I'll hopefully see you in the video sections to come.